Joe, why isn't there a pregnant Barbie doll?
Why?
Ken came in a different box. But there is a divorced Barbie.
Oh, really?
She comes with half of Ken's stuff. Oh, just kidding aside. Ken's gay. Anyways, this is Jacques.
I'm Joe.
And sort of welcome to Carnival Personnel.
Hello.
We are just in a fine mood today. And by we, I mean me. Joe.
Thank you.
It's just,
Can we replace me with that box?
Hey, that's what I said to my wife. Anyways.
Hey-o.
So let's get right into it. We're skipping over
Depression. Oh, wait.
Yeah, yes. Depression. Your depression is different. My depression is fat shaming. I can't believe I've had a bad week of working out. No skating again, but yet I'm eating what is chips, queso dip, and
Purple stuff?
Back on the soda. 2 weeks without it. I felt great. And now I'm back on the black tar heroin, or as I like to call it, Diet Dr. Pepper.
Shame on you for bringing these tasty treats to my house and making me fat in the process.
I wish.
Stop sticking these in my mouth. Wait a minute.
Hashtag me too. I need an adult. So
He said it was like a mouthful of fucking chocolate.
I'm peanut butter.
It's protein.
So, where it is Women's History Month, and last week we talked about Geraldine Ferraro. This week we're talking a little bit about, which I didn't know about. I've heard about it. Do you know what Emily's List is?
No.
It's not like Angie's List, the
contractor
plumbers and stuff like this.
Yeah.
It's a foundation which helps women, Democrat women. They're not mixing words. They're not interested in helping Republican women fundraise,
Racist.
learn how to basically they groom. If you want to run for office, whether it's for dog catcher or a success story like Elizabeth Warren, they get you started. They help you fundraise at the very beginning. They get you up and running. That's their whole thing, to not run your campaign, to not like handhold you through the whole process, but to, if you're interested, and they have a very clear, very narrow, demographic. You got to be a woman, got to be pro-choice, got to be a Democrat. So even if you're a Republican who comes in and a woman who says, "Oh, I'm pro-choice," it's like, great, I wish you well, but we're not interested in helping you. And the CEO of this was on Seth Meyers the other day, and it was a fascinating, listen to, how much, they played a role in the blue wave. And not just, and of course, the big shiny stuff like the House and the Senate, like that gets all the national attention. But on state and local levels, they've helped over 1,400 women run successful campaigns since their foundation. So,
the Republican Party has something similar for white anti-choice men. It's called the Republican Party. They have the same exact thing. I can picture some bigwig on the GOP watching this interview on Seth Meyers and going, she's finally catching up to where the GOP has been on the other side 150 years ago.
250.
Yeah, maybe 250.
Ever.
So, all right.
But yeah, I mean, in under the auspice of celebrating Women's History Month, that's an organization that was brought to my attention. Management watches and is going through this big Seth Meyers phase, which I'm all good with. And she was telling me about it, and it's something that she wants to look into about getting involved with, and if there's local, support things and stuff like that. So there you go. That's our nod to Women's History Month.
Women's Making History Month.
Right. Now, back to the history of sandwiches.
You mean the history of sandwiches?
The history of well played. So I keep saying we're going to post stuff, and we never do after the shows. And it's not...
By we, he means me. I know.
No.
Sorry, folks. I don't care about you or social media.
Well, I do. And last week, I said I was going to post Roddy's song, Stupid Ass Boston Face Guy. Couldn't figure out how, because I'm old.
Well, he's like,
and there were wolves.
How do I paste this? He asked me on a text, I can't figure out how to tweet out a song that isn't on the internet. And I'm like, you can't. Because if you do that from your computer, it's called file sharing. So it's like you have to, like you could tweet a link to a video or something that's been published on the internet. But if it's, an obscure song that may or may not have, hit the World Wide Web and it's, 30 years of existence, then maybe you need to take some initiative and put that on a SoundCloud or something.
Yeah, it's on Spotify.
Again, it's a paid service. Well,
okay.
I think, I don't know if you can link to a song on Spotify.
If I posted it on Facebook.
I tried Googling a stupid Boston face guy. I got, I think, 0. No, I got -2 responses.
Roddy will have to step up his online presence because it's a great song. But, with that said, and in the past I've said we were going to, put out clips from our stuff. In the history of all the stand-up podcast sketch comedy things that we've done since 94, I gotta rank Physics Today in the top 5. We're giving a shout out to truly a person I consider a brother, Professor Ross Salowich, tenure professor at the Maryland University of Maryland. Sorry, the Tarpons, I think. And, Ross has been a big part of my family's life since I'm going to say like 82, probably 82, 83. And it was, it's his birthday as we record this. But in 1994, Joe and I did a skit, and it's one of my favorite skits, called Physics Today. You'll do a better job explaining it.
You know I won't. It was a discussion panel show where the moderator has on 2 guests. This one focused on, it was a bi-weekly show focusing on physicists and the world of physics. And so you had on a person who would be on one side of an argument, where it would, in this case it was me playing Dr. Ross Salowich. And then I would debate physics, general physics, because, us as non-physicists and also non-writers, writing a sketch about 2 physicists debating physics is a little, pardon the pun, sketchy. So I would debate physics with not another human being, of course, but a rerun of Alice.
Alice being the 1970 hit TV show.
Oh, God. Oh,
Linda Loughlin.
I know. How does the theme song go? There's something that... Something that used to be sad, used to be shy. Suddenly something... and I knew why. Somebody was my favorite sport. I gotta get out from under, cause life's too short. There's a new girl in town, and she's feeling good. Got a smile, got a song for the neighborhood, and it's so... I don't know.
And there was Flo. Anyways, yeah, so...
Sung by Linda Lavin, by the way.
Yes, and I was working in Phoenix a few years ago. Actually, if I go to Phoenix, Biff, I'm giving you a heads up now. If I go to Phoenix with the John Taylor Fertilizer Hockey Organization and Memorial Day weekend, is it Memorial Day? Yeah, Memorial Day weekend. The Alice, the restaurant that it was based on, is in Phoenix.
Alice doesn't live here anymore.
And the creator of the show was literally driving across country, had breakfast there one day, just jotted down all these notes about the characters, and a few years later created the show based on real people in a real diner just outside of Phoenix.
So was it not based on the movie Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore? Wasn't it like a Martin Scorsese movie or something?
But there was this specific diner and these people in it was based on this,
Of course, whose diner was it?
It was Mel's.
Yeah.
Played by, I see the guy.
Vic Tolback.
Yeah, Tolback. I think it's Tolback.
Yeah.
Well, this was supposed to be a 1 second thing.
I'd rather talk about the show
I would
Alice than
rather
our
talk
sketch.
about the show.
Anyways, Ross Salowitz is...
Kiss My Grits. The show gave us Kiss My Grits.
So the point of this unfortunate ramble, is that the sketch that we had was I played Dr. Ross Salowitz, named after a real person, debating physics with a TV set playing the rerun of Alice. So I would say, something that it was kind of pseudo-smart, and then all of a sudden, Jacques, being the moderator, would say, rerun of Alice, your thoughts? Flo saying, kiss my grits.
And am I wrong? Because it's been a while since I've seen this skit. Was the rerun of Alice on the show to promote a book that it wrote? Did the rerun of Alice write a book?
Yes, it did.
Now, here's the best part about it. So this was a sketch comedy show that we had syndicated. I think it was, I don't remember how many cable access places picked it up. We had 2 shows simultaneously. One was a music video show that had some sketches. One was a sketch comedy show that had some music videos in it sometimes. And so Ross at the time, I don't remember. Okay, so 93, he's a professor at Harvard at the time. And he was a professor at Harvard. At this point, he's a professor at Harvard for nearly a decade.
Real white trash.
And how many of his friends saw the skit? Because it aired in Somerville, it aired in Cambridge, it aired in Lexington.
You think Harvard colleagues are watching public access
But they
television?
were. That's the most effed up thing. Is like, because and then we did another skit. Like, we used him. We used Professor Rossowich in another skit.
I think it was another installment of Physics Today.
So, and he loved it. He absolutely,
Oh, it was our friend Steve who played a complete idiot, and he would hit himself with a rubber bat. We'd have Dr. Ross Salowitz and a flaming idiot. And then, it would have his name, Steve, underneath, a flaming idiot.
Oh, highbrow stuff, really cerebral stuff.
That was the first Physics Today. The rerun of Alice was the follow-up. That was the sequel.
So we kind of stepped up. We went that was the Empire Strikes Back of sequel to skits, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, wouldn't
not
that
the Meatballs too?
Wouldn't that constitute having a third if we were an Empire?
Day's not over.
Oh yeah.
So happy birthday to Professor Ross Salowitz. And the rerun of Alice.
Dr. Rossolomew, we salute you.
So I quickly want to, and I should have written this down. I apologize. The internet can be a place of good now and then.
Oh.
I saw a tweet the other day, and I don't know if it was a grandson put it out. An old guy holding a sign with World War II, hat on, and it said, I'm a World War II vet. I turn 100 on May 17th, and I'm hoping to get 100 letters for my 100th birthday. Mm-hmm. And it's somebody had, I think Patton Oswalt had retweeted. It's like, okay, internet, do your thing. It took maybe 10 minutes, and I actually wrote the old guy a letter.
Oh.
Included a couple pictures, and honestly, it's one of those selfish things where I took 10 minutes. I had one of those forever stamps that I got a few years ago, so I don't know how much it cost me. Let's say 50 cents with the stamp and envelope, and I feel really good about it.
Yeah, saving that money on that stamp. I mean, that would be like a 47-cent stamp.
Now, right, exactly.
Yeah, so you should feel real good.
And the other thing, management has just downloaded an app that she was reading about, and I wish I remembered the name of it. Maybe you've heard this.
Grindr.
Oh, dude, some of the dudes on that?
Yeah. You telling me?
But it's an app for blind people or people with vision problems. Go ahead.
Is it called Blinder?
It's for
I hate myself.
Hot gay blind people or hot people who think gay people who blind gay people who think they're. When did I get your mouth? Take these marbles out of here.
Sorry.
Cut line. You need some water. Anyways, management heard about an app. She downloaded it where blind people can. It's almost like an Uber thing. If they need help reading something or whatever, and basically the first who respond, and it's through a FaceTime, type thing. And there was a guy who went to a store and wasn't sure everything was rung up right, and put the call out, and she basically was able to tell him everything on this receipt and the change he got and all that stuff. I mean, it took like 3 minutes out of her day.
It's a Seeing Eye app.
Right.
Oh.
I will find the link of that and send it out. It only takes a couple seconds to do something kind, and it is the most selfish thing you could do for yourself because, you feel good about it. So aside from jokes about women making sandwiches during Women's History Month, take a second and be a decent human being.
Oh, yeah, I can just imagine. You can't read your credit card number? Okay, let me see that for a second. Can you turn it over? I need to get the CVC
Way
number.
to find that cloud in the silver lining, Joe.
Jesus, you know what? Honestly, it's the internet. What could go wrong?
Well, I think, I don't know. There's probably checks and balances because who you're, if you log in, you probably have to have a phone and people know it. So if you screw the person over, I don't know. Yes, that could possibly
No, that's
happen.
a library card. No, that's another library card. Hold on, turn it around. All right, no, that's another library card.
Astronaut application. Got everything wrong but the date of birth.
Right.
So tomorrow, 2 days after, as people are listening to this, 2 days ago was my 5th wedding anniversary to management.
Happy anniversary?
Ish, yeah. 5 years. Only feels like 5 minutes underwater. But Biff and John were there. It was a lot of fun. Biff, I think I will tweet out the picture of the really hot girl in the background. Biff and I took a picture. We got married. Not Biff and I. Management and I got married at the beach. John was the best man, and Biff performed the ceremony. He was dressed as a Jedi Knight, and I was dressed as Han Solo.
Of course you were.
And John was wearing Bobby Orr's Oshawa Generals Jr.'s outfit. It was a proud moment. And where Biff and I are having an action pose together, me with the blaster, Han shot first, and with the lightsaber. And maybe, there's somebody 20, 30 yards away in the background. And Biff's friend said, "Hey, who's the hottie in the background?" And long-haired, tight black outfit that you can just see from behind. That would have been my 6-year-old son wearing a Nightwing outfit that this person saw on the beach 20 yards away, and because of the hair, just assumed it was some hot chick.
Do you want to put this out there on the internet?
Oh, I do. No, it's funny because Biff pointed out, that's a 6-year-old boy you're referring to. And his friend's like, well, I couldn't tell. It was in the background. It was blurry. I thought it was being funny. Anyways, that's my takeaway from my anniversary. But I bring it up because we're going on date night. We're going to Nick's Comedy Stop, or we did go to Nick's Comedy Stop on Saturday. I don't think I've been there in 30 years, maybe. Used to go all the time. My friend Daryl and I went all the time. I'm guessing it's exactly the same. And because it will be the day before St. Patrick's Day, all the jokes I might have heard if I went to a St. Patrick's Day comedy show in Boston in 1986.
Mm-hmm. Except it won't have a cigarette machine.
It will not. It's Nick's. It might.
Right. I know. I'm just, look at me assuming here.
But this is the first of 3 comedy shows I'm going to this month.
Mm-hmm.
I follow this up by going out with a couple other hotties a week from tomorrow.
You mean a week? No, on Saturday.
A week from
No, you're going out on Saturday.
Saturday.
Yeah. The 23rd. With us.
Who is?
Me. And maybe
The cast of Formal Edition.
Maybe the cast of Formal Edition. So myself, our friend Jim, our friend Steve, will potentially all be going. I'm not sure. Steve's a little, I think he's going, but I don't know. And Jim's a little, I guess maybe he's going. Maybe Jacques a little. I'm expecting to have 3 tickets for sale on StubHub in about a week to go see Norm Macdonald at the Wilbur. It's going to be a real hootenanny, and I think we're planning on doing a podcast recording that night before we go out. Yeah, and I think it'll be Jim and Steve, but we don't have enough microphones for that, so we have. We'll make it work.
Steve are close; they can double up.
Exactly.
They always harmonize when they do their NSYNC.
Oh God, it's like Crosby, Stills, and
Nash and Young.
Right. Nash and Old.
And then later, I think the following week, Again, the aforementioned love affair that management has with Seth Meyers. Seth Meyers, is Wilbur the only place that big comics go now?
No.
Because I think since
The Medford Theater, the Chevalier Theater in Medford, excuse me.
but the Wilburs where I've seen Jim Gaffigan. I saw who's the awful one who I love?
Oh, Anthony Jeselnik.
Anthony Jeselnik.
No, the Wilbur is a fantastic venue for comics. But there's this new theater that's kind of I forget who bought them, who runs them, but the Chevalier Theater in Medford had like Pete Davidson recently and a couple of other like known comics. I think Patton Oswalt may have played there. I don't know. I forget.
And where did we see
Emo? We saw him at the Regent in Arlington, which is a small little theater. But we hold our own. And then Somerville Theater has its own comedy venue, some at times. So yeah, you want to fight about it?
Now let's move on to some fun stuff.
Enough of this comedy talk. Let's move on to fun stuff.
No, I'm looking. I mean, I don't. Here's the thing: I don't know who's worse, you or I. No, you're worse.
I'm
like,
always the worst.
I hate leaving the house, but I do come here every week, so you win. So,
Yep.
And when we did go see Emo, is it a quarter mile from here, or a half mile from here?
I think it's about a quarter mile, a third.
So yeah, I hate to leave the house for any reason, but yeah, these should be fun.
Oh yeah. No, I thought we were going to move on to another topic.
Now we are moving on to another topic. You're a proud father or a college student.
Whoa. Proud. Really?
You are a proud father of a college student who now I have to call into question how he got into the school. How did he get into that online program?
I
saw his SAT scores. I don't know how he got into DeVry.
Fool, he never took the SATs.
You must have pulled some strings.
Is that how they open the door now? With strings?
Anyways, I shouldn't be enjoying this as much as I am. Because there are some people who really got screwed in this situation. Of course, I'm talking about the scandal that's going on with entitled rich white people.
Operation Varsity Blues.
Is that what the FBI called the sting?
Yeah. So what was it? It was like 40 people were arrested and charged with fraud and possibly, I think, tax evasion, essentially, because they were all part of a massive ring of wealthy patrons to this guy who essentially created a side door to college entry. So you have the front door, which is, you get good grades and you maybe get a scholarship or whatever, and you matriculate like a normal person. The back door, shut up, Jacques.
Hello.
The back door would be, your bushes, where you build another building and, call it the Bush building. And, oh, by the way, I have a son who's college age and he's in.
He's trying not to go to Vietnam.
Yeah, you make a wealthy donation or an endowment, and you're pretty much your legacy to a university, and you get in that way. This guy created a side door. Apparently, for years, he was instrumental in getting these wealthy parents to pay him, various sums of money, depending on, I guess, the severity of the case, or I don't know if there was like a financial curve involved. But for example, I think we all know. So Lori Loughlin, the actress who played Aunt Becky on Full House, now Fuller House, and is also 1/3 of the movies on the Hallmark Channel. No longer, by the way. She and her husband, who he was like the designer for the Mossimo fashion line from like the 80s and 90s. Very rich people, well-off people. They have a pair of daughters who were college age, and they paid this guy $500,000 for both of them to fake their way into the college of their choice. This
USC.
This being USC. So I think it got to the point where I'm not sure how it was for, I think, what was it? So Olivia Jade is the daughter who was the Instagram star of Lori Loughlin, who she put out a video as she was going into USC saying, I have this career with YouTube and I have these deals, so I have to talk to the dean of USC to see if, how I can balance the school schedule with my work schedule. And as you all know, I don't really care about school. I'm really into it for the game days and partying, which of course in hindsight now doesn't look very good. And by the way, they've since dropped out of USC.
Dropped out or thrown out?
They dropped out.
You can't fire me, I quit.
Exactly. But so the way they got into school apparently was this guy would pay other administrators or officials at USC,
college coaches.
Yep. And on their entrance exams, like they would say, okay, you're part of the rowing crew. And here's proof. Here's a picture of my daughter who is totally not photoshopped onto a legitimate rower, or somebody playing water polo or something like that. And
the water polo one is great.
Yeah, I heard that the water polo shot, the student that was initially, they photoshopped it where the body was like physically too high above the water line, where it was unrealistic. So they had to rephoto. Like the guy who was like sending it back is like, this is bullshit. You got to re-photoshop it to make it look more realistic.
Yeah, and the coach had asked the guy running the scam who asked the parents. It's like, because the kid played water polo, but it's like, I play hockey.
Right.
And I'm not walking on the Harvard team anytime soon. It's like, will he embarrass himself at practice? Because basically, he just has to get through one semester. He can fake an injury a couple weeks into it.
Right.
And just like literally show up and ride the bike next to the pool for the semester and then quit the team after that. And he's in school for the rest of the time.
Yeah. And there are stories of like people who were claiming disabilities. Like if, for example, like if your son or daughter has like what's called an IEP, it's sort of a protocol for people who are special needs who are allowed to take school tests with extended times and with a tutor and a specialized proctor and all this shit. So what this person did was exploit that loophole by saying, okay, well, we'll say that your daughter or son has a special need. They have to have a special proctor for their SAT scores. Oh, and by the way, special proctor is on the take, and he'll correct the scores and fix it so that your son or daughter will get 1,400. I think I heard that Felicity Huffman's child, maybe it was Felicity Huffman was obviously one of the other big names that were
William H. Macy's
wife. Yeah, so Felicity Huffman was arrested, and Lori Loughlin was arrested, and I don't think William H. Macy was arrested for some reason.
He wasn't, but I heard the quote where he was like, I am cooperating with you, ma'am. I am cooperating.
That's from Fargo?
It is from
Fargo. Okay, thank you. I don't know. I think it's from Fargo. I don't think I've seen the movie. But I think it was Felicity Huffman's daughter who wanted to take the SATs again because the score came back at 1,400. It's like, well, if I did that, I wasn't even trying. Maybe if I could take it again, I can get a higher score. And they're like, no. You're good. Don't fuck this up. So, people are outraged that these types of things are going on. Yeah, we all knew that, these wealthy families, if they make a donation to the school. By the way, if the school is getting money, I guess that's one thing. You're making a donation. There was a legitimate end, the end source there was a legitimate recipient of that money you could legitimately write tax write-off to as a charitable donation. This guy who ran the scheme set up a fake charity called the Spirit Foundation or something. I forget. And, of course, why would I come to a podcast being broadcast to the world prepared? So he would set up a fake charity, and then you would donate as a parent to that charity, and the charity would then cut a check to the administrator as some sort of a thing. It was all shady and backdoor, and apparently the upper level administrators at the school had no idea. But the registrars, were in on the take. College coaches, athletic coaches were on the take. So, yeah, this happens. This is a thing. So this is one more thing, and then of course on social media you see the juxtaposition of the poor black woman who faked her son's college application so that he would appear to be a more exemplary student, so that he could get a better chance at going to an okay, and not even like, I don't know if it was like even like an Ivy League school. It was just like a regular college, and then she gets thrown in jail for 5 years. Like, do you think Lori Loughlin's going to be facing hard time? Do you think Felicity Huffman's going to be facing hard time? Probably not.
Yeah, I mean, and it is. It just opens another. It turns out, fun fact: if you're rich, if you're white,
yeah, go on.
There. I don't want to jump to conclusions. There might be a different set of rules for you.
Might be, but by the way, I think, and this has been kind of talked about to death, I'm sure, in the media for the past week. But how stupid must your kid be in order for you to have to pay like $250,000 to get into USC?
That costs $50,000.
Yeah,
you're paying. I mean, if you got the money, you got the money. But I mean, there was some people who were paying. And then I guess it's funny because management was telling me there was an episode of Full House in which, and bear with me, I don't see this episode.
You're talking about Aunt Becky?
Aunt Becky and Stamos.
John Stamos.
They had twins on the show, and they were trying to get them into a prestigious preschool type thing, and fudged their resume and fudged these, like, that the children were gifted and were, like, ahead of the curve and all this stuff, and then ended up going and having to do an interview with the school, and they were exposed for it. And I guess it turned out that the woman from the school didn't get mad at them, but saw them as parents willing to do what it takes to give their child a better life. So I'm going to let the kids in the school anyway, even though they're not ready for this kind of, they don't know their alphabet yet, and they're still shitting themselves in the diaper, but hey, they're shitting themselves at an advanced level. And then they declined going to the school because they thought, oh, well, we're taking a spot away from somebody who deserves to go. And the cost for that school in the episode, and again, I'd have to look this up to verify, it's like $15,000 a year, and that's how much they bribed this guy in this case to get them into USC. It's like,
well, I remember Felicity. Yeah, it was Felicity Huffman on Desperate Housewives. Her character had a similar storyline. Yeah, it was the same kind of thing, but it's just like, is this life imitating art, or is this like, is this sort of like something that's been going on? And the last thing we should probably say about this is that this is probably the tip of the iceberg. This is going on. And by the way, this was stumbled upon kind of accidentally. The FBI wasn't, first of all, the FBI is involved because it's tax evasion. I mean, if you're claiming on your taxes, you made a $500,000 charitable donation to a fake charity as a tax write-off, and you're not paying your taxes on that, yeah, the feds are gonna come in. But this is probably the tip of the iceberg, and I think they stumbled upon this because they were investigating like another.
Well, that's how it often happens with me. I barely finished high school.
What?
I got myself actually put when we moved from Wilmington to Andover. I got myself put in the special education class, and I'm not being a dick or being funny because I was playing hockey 4 or 5 days a week. I mean, days a week during leaving school to go play it. My junior and senior year, I was playing in juniors, and I missed every other Friday. I'm probably my senior and junior year, I probably missed at least if close to a quarter of the school, like just missed days, a quarter of the school days, and probably left early another quarter of the school days. And the only reason I went to a community college is the next couple of years. It was one of those things where my mom's like, you either got to get a job or go to school part-time. If you can't just be here and playing hockey. So I went to, I don't want to brag, Northern Essex Community College. It was so much different than high school, and I liked it because I just took the things I liked. I got into video production. I had an article in a syndicated college. It was what do you call it? A community college, like
a zine or something, or no,
like a
newsletter,
right? A newspaper, but for all the community colleges in New England. I had a hockey column. It was a lot of fun, and at the same time, same thing. I only took like 2 courses a semester, and I did okay, but not great. And then there was a couple Div 3 colleges, and Fitchburg State was one of them, where the coach is like, hey, why don't you come here and play? Never took the SATs, never took any of that. And they put me into history because that was the only place that there was an opening with it, and then the next semester I ended up getting into communications and film production. I went to school. I got to live off campus, and technically, even though it was a transfer, I didn't have enough credits to even be a sophomore. So I started as like a second semester freshman, and you're supposed to live on campus, but I didn't have to. There was like, 6 guys who, it's like a 6-bedroom house, with all the hockey players. Yeah. And I lived there. And that's how I got in, and probably it wasn't the first day. I think it was the second or third day of, practices. And it was such a step down from where I had been playing. And you couldn't play the same style of hockey I had been playing like the last 4 years. And so that's when I met Dan, was drinking a lot. I don't think I played hockey for like the next 5 years, but that's how I got in. Not because my parents were rich, white, and bought a wing or bribed anybody. So, I mean, there are different ways of doing it for dumbasses like me to be able to get in, but it wasn't at an exorbitant cost. And I think when I went, it was like $1,500 like a year. Wow. And ballooned up to like $2,000 by the time I got out like 4 years later.
How times have changed. Well, colleges, I mean, don't get me started with how much of a scam.
But right. Well, 93, I ended, and it's $2,000 a year, for college, and that was Fitchburg State College. It's now the University of Massachusetts, Fitchburg. Is that what is it? Is
it UMass Fitchburg?
Yeah, it's UMass Fitchburg. Okay. It's same thing like Bridgewater State. Like all of them have been, all the state colleges have been folded.
Or is it Fitchburg State University?
Yeah, I think that's what it's changed to. And my niece just graduated Bridgewater, which is essentially the same thing. And I want to say it's from 93 to she got out 2 years ago, 2017. It's like 30.
Yeah.
That's for the same crappy.
I know. It's oh man. Anyways, paying more for less. That's America for you.
Next on the fun thing. Let's see. Do we even want to talk about the plane crashes? And it's like
they bought their tickets.
They knew what they were getting into.
I say no. That's awful. But it's. Okay, what was it? Egyptian Air crashed, killed. Ethiopian.
And it was the
Ethiopian Airlines.
And people might want to joke and think, what kind of air? It was one of the higher echelons. It's up there with like your Emirates and Qatar Airways. It was a really great airline.
Well, I mean, this is
a great airline.
This is a new fleet of airplanes, the Boeing 737 MAX 8 and MAX 9.
And it's the second one to crash in 60 days?
Probably a little bit, several months, but yeah, something like that. So finally, I was actually like, oh, he did a good thing where the president ordered that the FAA ground all these planes, which I don't know if that's now I'm like wondering, he's like, yeah, that's what they should be doing, but is it what should they be doing?
Well, yes. And talk about leading from behind. You realize the United States
was the last country to do that?
The last country. The last two holdouts were Canada and the United States. And the CEO of Boeing happens to be a member at Mar-a-Lago. Happens to literally have the private cell number of Blotus and was directly pleading with him to not ground the aircraft. And that's why it wasn't a full week before they grounded it, but the United States, last one to ground them. So
right. Well, okay.
But that's, it is what it is. It's awful.
Yeah, I'm glad we put it on there so that we could make zero comment.
Well, I was going to make more comments because the people from the FAA, these planes were under some kind of scrutiny before the shutdown. Oh. There was an investigation into it, and some FAA watch groups and some different watch groups in the industry have been saying for a while. It's like, hey, you might want to look into these things. These planes are a little different than the other ones, and it was something the FAA was looking into when the shutdown happened for 5 weeks. So, did that cause it? No. But is it an interesting talking point? Maybe.
Maybe for somebody who's knowledgeable or witty or, something like that.
Now,
which I'm not.
More importantly, finally, some white men have joined the presidential race for the Democratic Party.
Yes, the great white hopes. of the D.
Wait, Joe Biden's officially in, or is he still not officially in?
I haven't heard an announcement from Joe Biden.
But yet,
I think the rest of the bros are saying, yeah, Joe Biden, he's running.
him and Bernie are the only two so far with a polling rating in double digits, like as perspective, because there's just so many people. The vote is so splintered and stuff like that. But the leaders in the clubhouse as of right now are Bernie and Joe Biden. So it's a good thing we got two old white guys pushing Haiti, leading the party.
I thought you were going to bring up that Beto O'Rourke made his president.
What, that crazy guy with all the hand gestures?
Yes, that crazy guy. But there's some backlash with Beto now because it's like, I think
because he's running and there's always going to be backlash.
Yeah. Well, that is like, I don't know.
What's the backlash?
The backlash is that he lost to fucking Ted Cruz.
But as his poll numbers were going up, I was talking to our friend of the podcast, John Hunt, lead singer of Fivehead, who's lived in Texas the last 25, 30 years. And he flat out said he cannot win. Like Ted Cruz, no matter what you see, Ted Cruz is going to win this.
He could have lit 10 babies on fire and still won.
Ted Cruz.
And I think he only lit 2.
Ted Cruz is the most hated man in the Republican Party. Like, the Republicans hate him.
Yep.
But it's still Texas.
But if they hate him, why do they vote for him?
It is slowly changing. But, yes, there was, but it's the same thing. It's like, it's.
And I think there might be some resentment with like Beto trying to steal thunder from other candidates who may be trying to pick up steam. I don't know. It's just sort of like, isn't this all a free for all? Like, when Kamala Harris comes out, it's like, oh, okay, great. The woman of color who's not 75 years old is running.
Is Cory Booker going to steal away the black vote from her?
Yeah, right. And or it's just like, Hillary just won't go away. Okay, there's Elizabeth Warren, who's a great leader, but it's just like, is she too old? Is she too polarizing? Is she too,
But the too polarizing thing. And here's what people have to remember: a lot of the stuff about the negative things about these people, it's coming from the left. You know what I mean? Or coming from the right rather.
Right.
And it's like they put that stuff out there. There's so many. I remember it's like there was a big spokesperson like recently saying, "Well, if the Democrats want to, they're leaning too far left, and they should really have a centrist person." It's like, why would you take talking points from a GOP like strategist? It's like, no, but a lot of
they've been winning. That's why. But
no, they've been cheating their way. Like, honestly, we've litigated that enough. But yeah, a lot of these things have cheated their way to the top. Like getting to USC if you're. but seriously, the bottom line is, all these people are great. Yes, all of them are going to have baggage because everybody has baggage. And the more people that drop out, the closer you get to the top. The front runners are the ones that people are going to focus on the negativity. The biggest thing is that the Democrats cannot give fuel to whoever runs against them. Like, you don't do the Republicans' work for them by saying, like Harris, for instance. She was a prosecutor in San Francisco for years, and she has not
the best record.
Not the best record with certain kinds of crime and
right. Nobody's perfect.
I love you. And because for a second I'm like, wait, that's Anyways, but that's the whole thing. But you don't want Beto O'Rourke on stage. Beto, sorry. Saying you can't vote for her because of her voting record as a DA in San Diego. This is how of an awful person she was.
Right.
Because
you don't want to demonize a peer.
When Beto is out of the race and she's still in it, now you've just given all the talking points to.
Right. Here's all the ammunition for the Republican, for Trump, essentially for Trump.
Right. Let them do their own,
Her mudslinging.
Right.
Yeah.
So don't do it internally. You can say, hey, I think Cory Booker's great. I think he would be a great president, but this is why I think my ideas are better. Or we all agree that there should be Medicare for all. this is where I would come up with the money.
Right. It's funny how we all just sort of succumb to the same patterns over and over again because of fear. Like, just fear drives us. Like, well, Beto got popular because of one idea, and then now that he's running for president, he's going to kind of abandon what got him popular in the first place and just sort of follow, sort of like the cookie cutter mold of how a candidate should run. And I don't know. It's throw out the hyperbolic statements of like, we need to be better, and nothing clear cut. It's all it's all
broad brushes with the stroke.
Yeah, exactly.
But the big thing is, seriously, and the people who are still mad that Bernie didn't wholeheartedly support Hillary earlier, and that he didn't campaign hard enough to make the Bernie bros, go their way. Like that stuff. I mean, there has to be, an agreement, whether in public or private. It's like, hey, we 1000% get behind, because and it's true, the worst person that has, thrown their name in the hat for the Democratic, nomination is 1,000 times better. And I think, I do. I think if, they're asking all the people like Bernie and Beto, the males, it's like, if you are the nominee, will you have a woman running mate? And I think you kind of have to.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to. Why wouldn't you? I mean,
right. I mean, it's all there. I mean, the Democrats elected 100 women to Congress in the last midterm,
and Hillary had 3 million more votes.
Yeah.
I mean,
and there are women who vote on the Democratic ticket. Yeah.
So no. So just don't eat the young. Don't turn on each other. There will be enough time for them to do that. Don't help them with that. On a happy note, we'll just touch on this.
Yeah, we really kind of blaze through this.
We're just blaze through
first
this.
half of the podcast.
My favorite part of the news today was that the Prime Minister of Ireland had breakfast at Mike Pence's house. You see this? You hear about this?
No.
You don't know anything about him? Prime Minister of Ireland had breakfast at Mike Pence's house and brought his boyfriend. He is openly gay.
Oh.
That's why on the rundown, what does it say?
There's a sale at Penny's.
What do you make out of this?
Well, I can make a hat. I can make a pterodactyl. Irish PM brings boyfriend to Mike Pence's house.
But
have a gay old time.
see what I did there?
No.
I took the Flintstone thing.
Oh, yeah.
And because
you mean the first season of the Flintstones, right? Didn't they change it to Great Old Time?
No, that wasn't until years later.
Oh, in syndication.
In syndication,
Oh, okay.
Anyways, I just thought that was, a bit hysterical that, here's Mike Pence having to take all these pictures with people that he,
Right.
Now maybe he offered, hey, I don't know if you have socialized medicine over there in conversion therapy, but if you go to the state of Indiana where I was governor, there's money in the budget for that.
Uh-huh.
So we'll blow through this really quick. Manafort got sentenced in his second hearing, got another 3.5 years tacked on.
Oh.
So now he's up to 7.5 years. It was a possible 30 years, so he's still less than a quarter. But the happy news is truly the judge in the second hearing from the bench said this case has nothing to do with collusion with Russia. Russia has nothing to do with this case. These are financial crimes, because right after his sentence hearing the week before in Virginia, the lawyers for Manafort ran out to the podium and ran out to the press corps and said, we're glad he didn't get a big sentence. We wish he didn't get any sentence at all. We think this is a miscarriage. But the most important thing is the judge said there was no collusion with Russia. That was never brought up in that case. The judge never said anything about that. So here is the judge in New York, well aware of it, going well out of her way to clearly several times say this has nothing to do with Russia, the Russia investigation. These are financial crimes. This is all it is. The sentences is based on this guideline.
See, she said it.
Only.
There's nothing to do with Russia.
Right.
This has nothing to do with Russia.
And that's them. That's them again playing to an audience of one. They want Bloatis to know that their boy didn't roll over on them, and we're putting that word out there.
Audience of two.
Audience of two.
You know who is second.
So here is the best part of that. I wish he got sentenced for more. She could have thrown the book at her, but at the same time, she also said she can't make up for that guy's miscarriage of justice by tacking on, the maximum here because he didn't get it. But 28 minutes after that hearing was read, his extra 3.5 years, the state of New York filed charges. They got the sealed grand jury findings, and now Manafort is going on trial in the state of New York for all these federal crimes that cannot be pardoned. So even if Blotus decides I'm going to pardon him from these 7.5 years that he has on these federal, things.
Can the governor pardon him?
No.
Oh, no.
Well,
no, why would they?
They can't pardon him before the trial.
Yeah, right.
And I think he would have to stay in jail for the trial anyways because he's has phenomenal wealth and resources and flight risk and stuff like that. But I believe the governor of New York is not going to.
He's not a fan of the person living at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's one of those things. So it's like, go ahead. He keeps doing that. So,
and it's Manafort.
That's what I said. Did I say Manafort?
I think you say Manafort.
Like with the.
It sounds like a shoe manufacturer.
With a D instead of a T.
Yeah, like I just bought it at Manafort's.
Like I'm stupid.
I'm going to Manafort's.
So, and on the same kind of thing, I'm going to make it really quick.
No, you won't.
Gates and Flynn, who were both supposed to be sentenced this week as well. Gates was
Manafort.
Forts.
Like I'm building a Manafort, which is like maybe the Irish PM would like to build.
See what you did there? Or that would be a fort of men.
Way to drive home the punchline there. Go ahead.
Hey, wait, is that horse dead? Give me a stick. I'm going to go over there and whack
Make
it
sure
a few more times.
Go on.
But both Mike Flynn, I almost said Ray Flynn, both Mike Flynn and
Bill Gates
have had their hearings or their sentencing hearings postponed because they're still working with the
the Mueller investigation
with the witch hunt. So they're still, and the funny thing is, when Flynn was going to be sentenced, it took I can't remember if it was 6 or 7 times. The judge kept saying to Flynn and his lawyers, I'm looking at all these charges. I don't think you're getting, enough sentencing time. I'm going to give you the maximum I could unless you think there's more help that you could be given to them. It's like, and then finally they're like, are you sure you want me to sentence you today? Or do you think there's more cooperation that you can be doing with this investigation?
I would gladly sentence you Tuesday for some information.
And finally, it was
today.
like the 6th or 7th time the judge said that in a half-hour hearing that they're like,
right.
Okay, we'll go back and work because the judge was really off-putting. He didn't say he was a traitor in the Flynn hearing, but asked the prosecutors, do you think some of these charges would rise to the level of treason? And the prosecutors were kind of wishy-washy on it. And the judge's like, okay, I just wanted to clarify some things before I sentence him because I don't think you're asking for enough jail time for him. And so anyway, so Flynn had gone back. It was like 90 days ago. They were both in court, separate cases this week, but both Rick Gates, Manafort's.
Just think of the Manafort.
Oh, that's what I did.
You gotta.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah.
See it on Grindr.
Yeah, okay. Or Blinder.
And I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, you can't see it on Blinder. Oh, boy.
And so so it's interesting that, you keep hearing that the investigation's about wrapping up, but at the same time, you have 2 huge figures at the middle of it, 2 of the first people indicted still working with them. So, anyways, so that's enough of the happy news. We can now move on to
the defunct sponsor of the friggin' week.
Tuesday, it's comedy in the fast lane when Jesse applies the twins to an upscale preschool.
He embellished on our application. Not too many 2-year-olds are proficient on the bassoon.
An all-new Full House.
All right!
Then Mark and the girls plan to hit the slopes.
Better watch out for this tree.
Hang in with Mr. Cooper, Tuesday after Full House.
Okay, on to sport. Couple quick things. There was an incident in Utah at a Utah Jazz game because
Was somebody singing?
when you think jazz, you think Utah. And Westbrook, probably one of the top, if not top 10 basketball players in the league, top 20. It went viral. You couldn't really see the clip that I saw, you couldn't really see who he was yelling at, but he was screaming and threatening a fan, saying that he was basically going to fuck up whoever's with him, and he doesn't care if he has to go through his wife to go fuck him up. Something along those lines. Post-game interview, he was saying, yeah, the guy's saying racist shit, and it's not the first time, because season ticket holder, I'm always getting the shit. The league instantly fined him for us. Even if you're wrong, you can't act like that, so to speak. But credit to the Utah Jazz, and especially credit to the Utah Jazz owner. I think it's Gail Miller, mid-70s. Within 24 hours, the Utah Jazz did a full investigation, pulled footage, interviewed people, banned that guy and
heckler.
And the heckler and the heckler's buddy for life. They also posted their findings, like this guy's social media stuff.
They doxed the guy.
It's all, what is it?
Doxing. It's when you publicly, it's short for like documenting somebody. It's you find the dox on this person. So, who was once anonymous is now public. Like, here's his history. Here's where he lives. Like, here's this and that.
And, he had posted things like, go back where you came from, like hashtag make America great again, mega. Guy's a car salesman, all fine and good. Hopefully his car salesman sales go down because of this. Worse, he used to be a Utah State patrolman, highway patrolman. And I'm just guessing how many people who aren't as lily white as me might have not had pleasant run-ins with, somebody as openly racist as him. But not only did they throw those guys out for life, before the next home game, here's the owner, takes a mic, center court, and says, fuck this. If this is how you are, if this is how you treat people in here, you're not welcome to the stadium. You're not welcome to be a fan of the Utah Jazz. We don't want it. We won't tolerate it. Zero policy. Done. And good for her.
Yeah. You gave me an idea for a show. The Utah Highway Patrol. Oops. Wah, 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 wah. This week on Oops.
I'm in.
Right. That person's dancing. That
person only has one wife.
Right. How dark is that guy? See.
No, I see.
They're racially profiling.
They really are.
They're fine people in Utah. On many sides.
On many sides. On both sides. On many sides.
Hey, you know what? Ken Jennings is from Utah. Nice guy. He's the good one.
The good one, right. So it's Mitt Romney.
All right. Now, moving on. Oops. And speaking of oops.
Exactly.
Anyway.
So let's see. The bees have come down to earth. I'm not going to do a lot of Patriot talk, but I am going to say free agency has happened. A lot of people here in the greater New England area and fans of the Patriots are doing their annual absolute freak out because instead of signing a bunch of big free agents, they have lost a bunch of big free agents. While this is going down, Bill Belichick is in Turks and Caicos.
Who are you talking about again? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the greatest team in the history of football.
But why would you be talking about them? It's still March, isn't it?
No, but I'm past the month.
Oh, there's a
I said a month. I said a month.
I don't listen to what you're talking about.
Nobody blames you. And Biff will give me a hard time about this. But I'm just saying, this is when the absolute freak out. You got the month window of basking in the glow of the Super Bowl, and then we don't sign a couple free agents. A couple free agents who talked about coming here go elsewhere. A bunch of our free agents flee to make literally 10 times the money that the Patriots had offered them. And we all free. I'm not doing that this year. I'm done. I honestly, I now firmly believe if you and I got called up, Patriots are still going to go 10-6, 11-1. But I'm not. I'm not going to talk about who they signed, who they didn't sign. Just a bunch of people have left. A bunch of people didn't come here while all this is going down, like shirtless pictures of Belichick with his trophy wife on the beach at Turks and Caicos going on. And it's like, if he can be this relaxed, I think I can.
I like how it took you 18 years to finally trust that Bill Belichick kind of knows what he's doing, to stop second guessing.
I was today years old. I was today year old when I realized they might know more than me.
Right. Now, these doctors, they are a bunch of
wingnuts, like in the pocket of big
cancer.
And I was going to say lab coats, but you made it. You made it really. There you go.
Yeah.
So that's all I got as sports. Into the video game realm. What are you playing this week?
Not much. Not a whole lot.
What's being played in the house? Any new games?
Nothing big. Just a lot of watching TV.
Not a lot of.
Not a lot of video game. I played a little Tetris 99. I think I've gotten first loser a couple of times in that competition, but I think I've hit it. I think I've hit the wall on that game. It's just it's unfair at this point. I've leveled up to the point. I'm good enough to get to a high level. I'm bad enough to not be able to compete at the high level. So I'm kind of just stuck. It's kind of like my job. I'm just like I got to a point where I can't quit, but I'm not good at it. So whatever. It is what it is.
You just got to keep the ruse going another 20 years.
Yes, I do. Got to keep my nose to the whatever.
20 years.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah, I don't want to think about it.
Oh, what is that doing here?
I don't know.
No, for me, still playing Resident Evil 2. So it's the mode's called hardcore, where it's just awful. Like you get if somebody in the game within 12 rooms of you sneezes, you die instantly. It's one of those things where, okay, turn on the game, press start, and have to reset because I died.
Right.
And you have to
does it cut power to your house? It's just like the PS4 just
says, nope.
Yeah.
I put the game in, press start, hardcore mode, and instantly the PS4 did.
Oh, I thought you were going to do the explosion one on there.
No, I wish, because then it could take it with me instead of just mocking me. And I've had your voice in my head recently when I've been doing this. It's one of those things where on the standard mode, if you do it in under 2.5 hours, you can unlock these unlimited ammo things, and you get these special weapons to use your next run through. If you use those weapons the next run through, you can't get an S+, type thing. And on the hardcore mode, you can only save through, all the other modes, there's an auto save. So you get past this boss fight, it automatically saves. So if you die the next thing, you restart from your last checkpoint. Mm-hmm. This doesn't do it. This doesn't do it. There's no auto save. You can only save the game 3 different times. So there's maybe 7 major boss fights, and you have to decide what 3 times you want to save through. At the same time, you can't use any unlockables to get the S+. If you do this, and I know I'm boring All-Star Tommy, but you unlock the unlimited rocket launcher. So then you can play the game through again and be more relaxed and literally just shoot everything. And it sounds stupid if you're not a gamer, but you know how much fun that is.
Yes. It's like God mode.
Right. It is. It's completely God mode. I would love to go through the game playing that. It's not I didn't know. I got through hardcore mode about a week ago with a mere 14 saves and under 2.5 hours. And I'm like, awesome. I'm waiting for the letter grade to come up, and it's like an S. It's like, wait a minute. How did this happen? I did it under the time limit, and I didn't die. Well, technically I didn't die because you restart from the from the save points, and then that's when I find out, no, you can only save 3 times. So now this is where I think of you. It's like this past week have been playing on the easy mode, the assist mode, or the normal mode, using the infinity machine gun and the infinity knife, really taking my time and enjoying exploring the whole world, the whole police department, and just obliterating everything, and only getting an S grade at the end. And you're the only one who cares. Nobody gives a fuck. There's no governing body that's coming to your house with the clearance house check saying, you did it. You know in Elf, in the movie Elf, when he first gets to New York and he sees World's Greatest Coffee and he runs in, congratulations, everybody. You did it. You got to be so proud. Wow, that's great. Good for you. Doesn't happen.
No. So, yeah, nobody cares except you.
Right.
And then at the end, guess what? You won't care eventually.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Stop chasing that whale, man.
the little guy has gone back and played, really likes a character from this Resident Evil 2 remake, from Resident Evil 6. And he was in Resident Evil 4. And he went back and he was playing 6 the other day and I have no interest. And it's like, oh my God, I gave that game, Resident Evil 6, a full year of my life, maybe 14 months of my life. Resident Evil 4 was reissued a couple years ago, but it's not full on tank control, but it's more tank control than the fluid thing now.
Yeah.
And the other night I'm like, yeah, I'm going to throw this in. No, I'm not. Like I literally played for like 5 minutes and I'm like, I'm not relearning this whole thing again. So yeah, so I'm going to probably give Resident Evil another week or two of just literally on assist mode or on the, I just for shits and giggles the other night played it through standard mode, didn't use any of the cheats, did under 2.5 hours, got the S+. Oh, that was good. Next time I play it, I'm going to just not be stressed about anything. And I feel bad because sometimes my mom-in-law, who's just sitting there, with the dementia, just kind of sitting on the couch, and it's like, I'm playing this game. It's like, what is going through her mind as here's a zombie on the ground, and I'm taking the time to shoot off its legs and shoot off its arms because, and you get 36 clips before you have to, reload because it can get back up again. like I'm not serious. How many? I mean, in this game, you shoot it in the head 20 times. You go to the next room. You go to the next room. 20 minutes later, you have to run past this area, and all of a sudden, this one leg, one arm thing can push itself towards you, and literally,
it's doing the worm toward you.
I was gonna say, it's funny when they actually do that, but it's like, what is this poor woman thinking as I'm literally putting 300 rounds in this corpse? I almost said, it lunges at you and bites your ankles. This is not my my Netflix pick of the week, but about 15, maybe 20 years ago, a buddy of mine at work told me about this vampire movie. I can't remember if it's a zombie or a vampire movie, and I'm dead serious when I tell you this, about called Ankle Biters. Little people vampires.
Oh my.
I am dead serious. Now I'm going to have to look that up. I mean, it was as my podcasting partner has copyrighted the phrase, awfulsome. It is awfulsome. So, okay, enough about that.
Whoa.
Let's go to the video game review of the week.
Why not? Jacques is going to go over, get it.
Actually, hey, get up. Go get a game off the shelf.
Oh, look at that. He's sending his little one to grab a game off the shelf. And then he's going to, that's okay, I'm not looking. He grabbed a game. I think it's a PS3 game. And I'm going to have to guess which one he pulled off the shelf. I'm going to say Metal Gear Solid 4. Is it?
No, you're
no,
the right letter.
It's a. I don't know. I give up.
On life?
Yes. Oh, Medal of Honor. Yeah. This is the remake of the Medal of Honor series that was started on the PlayStation and PC back in the late '90s. I think Steven Spielberg was involved in the original production of the Medal of Honor series. It took place during World War II. This is back when, like, Saving Private Ryan was, after he directed Saving Private Ryan, and World War II video games were becoming the sort of the thing. This is a retake on that, but it's not World War II. It's based, I think, in modern warfare. Then modern warfare, but this is back in 2010. So this is like current Iraq war. I played a bit of this. It's fun. This is the greatest hits edition, so obviously it sold well. And so it's a first-person shooter, but it didn't. I don't know if it spawned any sequels. I never really kept up with the Medal of Honor. I mean, Call of Duty, they're king of the crop. Like they're a cream of the crop. They were the granddaddy of the warfare games because of their online interactivity, because of the campaigns, the stories, just the venues, the way they kind of reinvented those types of games. I never really got into them. I do like. See, that's the thing is I don't like playing a lot of online co-op games. I like playing the story mode, one player, no friends, no life That's for me.
See, I liked when I started playing games and it was a Batman game. I liked that mostly because you're Batman. But then when I did Resident Evil 5, I did like that you could do that. Resident Evil 5 and 6, but 7 you couldn't, and it was one player only. But and the same thing with 4.
Yeah, I just like it's.
Or 3, 2.
You're right. And there are games that where multiplayer is awesome. Like these battle royale games are fun, and these multiplayer campaign, warfare games like Call of Duty and stuff are great. It's just not my bag, baby. But I like the single player mode. And this has a good story. I just never finished it. I don't know. I actually did finish the original Medal of Honor. Am I thinking? Yeah, that was Medal of Honor. But this is way back when it came out. I finished it, 2 years ago because I'm me. But you'll be proud of me. I played the original Medal of Honor before I played the remake.
Whoa!
Yes,
that's not like you.
No, it is not. So that's it. Medal of Honor for the PlayStation 3 and other I'm sure it's for other platforms.
And if you didn't already own,
it's only on PlayStation. What am I talking about?
Yeah. PlayStation. If it wasn't on your shelf or on the table, and you really want it, what do you think you'd be shelling out for it on the interwebs?
I'm gonna say $7. Yeah, right. $4. All right,
but
that's a different game. That's Medal of Honor Warfighter. I don't know what that is.
Okay.
Maybe so. That's a sequel, I guess. I guess it did spawn sequels. This is the original Medal of Honor for the PS3. Who knows?
Warfighter.
This is just Medal of Honor, but this one actually includes the original Medal of Honor Medal of Honor Frontline, which was the sequel, I think, to the original Medal of Honor on the original PlayStation. So it's fun. I have different Medal of Honors from previous iterations, and they're fun little games. I don't know. I'm a weirdo. Anyways, next.
What are you watching?
I'm trying to catch up on Cheers. I'm up to season 4 now.
How many seasons were there?
There are 11 seasons, but only 9 are on Prime. So the last 2 seasons, I don't know how it's going to turn out because I'm not going to be able to watch them if I don't.
Is Diane still in the picture?
Yeah. So we're at season 4. So we lost towards the end of season 3. We lost Coach. He died, I think, with like 5. I think there were like 4 episodes left to record to tape, and then they rewrote some stuff after he took a heart attack, and they plunked they moved him around. There were a couple of episodes where he was visiting his niece or something in Vermont, and they wrote several excuses as to why he wasn't there. Then he did pop up in the last episode of season 4, in the last episode of season 3 at the beginning, right before the credit, in the cold open. Anyways, so we lost him, but Diane was going to Italy or to Europe with Fraser Crane to leave Boston forever, and he was going to propose to Diane in Italy, and Sam at the last minute, the 11th hour, decides to. It's funny. He asks Cliff to call call his travel agent, and he just plunks down his phone, and without any sort of reference material, Cliff Clavin dials his travel agent. Like, he just knows the number. And I'm thinking, nobody knows the phone number nowadays. Like, that's not even that was hard.
Cliff Clavin would.
That was hard to do in 84 or in 85. That's impossible to do now. But he calls his travel agent to get Sam on a flight to Italy to stop the wedding. And then at the beginning of season 4, we meet Woody.
Oh.
Yep, and Woody comes in from Indiana. Woody Woody Boyd, not Woody Harrelson, because that would be stupid.
Weird, yeah.
Yeah. But it's amazing, like how I've seen episodes of Cheers when they were live, but I didn't watch them, straight through. And it's funny, like how, I missed Coach, but Woody was like not like it didn't feel like a cheap replacement to me. And I don't know if that's just the passage of time and like looking back on it. I don't know how, when you watched Cheers, and did you were there when
it was soul crushing.
It was soul crushing when he died, but Woody came on. Did he feel like a cheap knockoff? Like, oh, they got another dumb guy or did it feel like a shot in the arm? Like, okay,
it was new blood.
yeah, it felt great. It actually,
I mean, you had enough of the same characters, but so it was, kind of. It was like reinventing the show without bringing the
kid.
cousin Oliver.
yeah, right. They weren't adding a kid. They would be basically like he was a friend. He was there to actually see Coach because he was pen pals with Coach. And it's like, oh, you exchanged letters? No, we exchanged pens. Well, it was Coach's idea. And I heard that line, and I'm like, okay, all right, I can see how they sold it on
And he's given us one of our favorite lines of all time.
The Far Side.
I don't get the Far Side.
Well, it's kind of a cerebral kind of. It's not like your typical comic strip. It's a little bit more highbrow. No, it's not like I just.
Well, see, in this panel,
right,
the cows are just sitting around being cows, but then when the car goes by, they're talking to each other because they're really evolved and they can talk, and they're more cerebral than we think. And then when another car comes by, they just pretend to not be able to talk. So it's a juxtaposition on the cow's intellectual.
Yeah, no, I get the Herald, and so I literally don't get the Far Side. I'm not so much of a rube that I don't understand the subtleties.
The word rube is not used as much as it should be.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, there's just so much. There's so much language in that show that's not found in television today.
But you said it's not dated. Like the jokes actually stand up.
They're funny. Yeah, there's there's adult humor. There's wordplay. There's there's just stuff that hits you out of left field. Norm's character is like his sardonic kind of witty, repartee, and his pathetic, just his being a pathetic character, and him comparing him with Cliff, and who's more pathetic than who. And I also like the way they handled the previously on Cheers. Whenever they did a two-parter, they wouldn't just do previously on Cheers and they would show like a montage of whatever happened last week. They would, like one episode, they showed exteriors of their houses, and the characters would be like, Cliff would be explaining what happened at the bar to his mother. And you wouldn't actually see anything. You would just hear him explaining it, and then it would just cut to
hysterical.
Yeah, it would just cut to Carla's house and her yelling at the kids, and then it would cut to Sam's exterior, and it's like him watching the game. Like he doesn't even pay. Like he's not there to recap anything. He's just there to watch TV. I don't know. It's funny. Oh. Anyways, Cheers is a good show, and you should watch it if you live in 1985.
I think it's a little pathetic. I'm not going to 1995, Joe.
85.
85. Yes, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to 1974.
All right.
I've been watching the Saturday morning Shazam TV episode.
Wow,
dude, it is.
What word would you use to describe it?
Awfulsome. There's no other word. It is awesome, and I'm just trying.
Right. You just can't get around the awfulsome.
What
is Shazam?
The production values.
Because there's a movie coming out about Shazam.
There is. And I'll give the quick backstory. We talked about this a little bit. There was a comic years ago called Captain Marvel. This is before Marvel Comics became Marvel Comics, and it was a property that DC bought. The superhero very much like Superman. The biggest difference is magic hurts Superman, and Shazam or Captain Marvel gets his superpowers by saying the magical word Shazam that comes from
whatever.
Exactly. And so he's like a 10, depending on what version. He's a 10-year-old, he's a 12-year-old boy, says Shazam and becomes this man. In this version, it's a mid-teens, like a 15, 16-year-old guy. And
in the modern version?
In the 70s
in the
version. 70s version. And it's live action.
Great.
A half-hour show mixed with some animation. So there's these elders, the three wise people who make up the triumvirate that gives Billy Batson his powers by saying Shazam. One of them is by Filmation Studios. Two of the voices are by the creators of Filmation.
Right, it was like Lou Scheider and Norm something or other, yeah.
And the third voice is done by the great Adam West.
I Wikipedia'd when you sent me the clip of you watching Shazam.
And it's like, so the kid, so the whole premise is They're driving around. He has Billy Batson as a teenager. He can't drive yet. He has a mentor figure, an older guy who's driving him around. So this old guy driving around in a beat-up Winnebago with a young, buffy little 16-year-old in the early 70s looking for people in trouble to help out and to superhero it up a little bit.
So they were like Highway to Heaven.
Where they come up with the gas money, I don't know. But the production values, so it's live action with a little animation. So when he has to talk to the elders, it's animated.
All right, so it's filmed and with some animation.
Right.
So it's Filmation.
That'd be a great name for a company. And so the production values are low. The writing is...
The entertainment value is high.
The writing is not superb, but at least the acting is bad. Nobody from this show went on to bigger and better things.
Not even Adam West.
Not even at that point. No, it was years. That was in the Adam West phase while he was taking times out from doing car shows for like $500. And anyways, so. One of the fun facts is it lasted 3 seasons, but only 28 episodes. Halfway through the series, they changed Shazam. They changed the Captain Marvel guy who was a stunt guy who did his own stunts, got hurt, went to the doctor, couldn't come to filming the next day, and they fired him thinking he was holding out for more money. And he was literally at the doctor's office being sewn back up together. Guy ends up suing the show, gets his full contract honored, and gets residuals for all the episodes of the series, even the ones that he wasn't in.
So that money must be rolling in.
It actually was, because it went into syndication 2 more times. Like there was 2 times in which like it went into syndication over like the next 20 years.
Oh yeah, I forgot there was no internet for another 20 years.
Right. And even now, how did I find this? I wasn't like, you know what? The Shazam movie's coming out with Zachary Levi, who management and I decided might be our favorite actor collectively.
Oh.
We loved.
Fuck you, Ryan Reynolds.
Loved the show Chuck. Loved the show Chuck.
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies, and I'm not kidding when I say this, Tangled. And did you see Tangled?
Yeah.
If we talked about it when there was a chance of there being a third like Dream Squasher in our world, had we had a third son, would have been named Flynn Rider. Dead serious, like the character from that. He also, was one of the band of 3, Thor's sidekick. The D'Artagnan looking guy with the sword.
Oh,
that's him as well.
Wow.
Now he's doing Shazam, which I love. Haven't seen it. It's a DC movie. I'm safely going to say that I'm going to love it. So I mean, I don't know how many different vehicles that he's done that we've different. Anyways, so I found Shazam because it's on that DCU streaming service that I have.
By the way, speaking of the DCCU. I guess no. Maybe we weren't speaking of it, but I will. They're doing away with it. They're kind of abandoning it, right? They're saying we're not going to do the universe anymore. Sorry, we gave it a shot.
Yeah, there's conflicting things because again, it's one of those things where a couple of their like Suicide Squad made close to $1 billion in the box office. Yeah, but it didn't make $1.5 billion, and so we're going to scrap it. Redo the whole thing, and then because of the outcry, I guess they're bringing back what Robbie. What's the girl who played Harley?
Margot Robbie.
Margot Robbie. But it's like it was great. Like I liked Suicide Squad. I really liked like the cast and stuff like that.
They're making another Suicide Squad, and they're making right. It isn't.
But they're doing away with everybody but her.
Oh.
There's going to be a new band of like villains.
There's a new Joaquin Phoenix Joker movie that has nothing to do. See, that's the thing is that they're so they're just so quick to make a movie about any character as fast as possible. It doesn't matter if there's any cohesion. There's no order. It's chaos.
It is.
Some movie studios just want to watch the world burn.
And again, what Marvel has done is just so it's never happened. It's never happened, and it won't happen again. The absolute methodical rollout, the 10-year rollout to get to Infinity War, slowly introducing the characters. And even if the character didn't do great, they didn't completely abandon it. And even if Captain America did X and Thor did Y, and then the next Thor didn't do as good as the next.
Right, Thor 2 is probably one of the worst of those movies. Like, I can see the level of blood rising in your. Whenever I say Marvel movie worst, automatically like there's a fist in my face, and I don't know why.
That movie really started Loki, who was one of our favorite. But so here's the DC people saying, "Well, fuck, we're so far behind." And then what do the Marvel assholes do? They roll out a D-list property, and I'm being kind when I say the Guardians of the Galaxy D-list property. What does it do?
Yeah, gangbusters at the box office, and it spawns. Yeah, then they get involved with the Avengers, and Avengers Endgame is coming out this year. Did you see Captain Marvel? No,
we're seeing that this weekend.
Oh, okay, good for you.
But yeah, I mean, but that's the thing. It's like, again, methodical, like introducing these characters. I mean, look what the Black Panther is, and it's like when the thing started, did they know? They knew they were going to roll it out eventually, but did they know it was going to be that big of a success and that big of a gangbusters? DC has been doing nothing but playing catch up ever since. And the same thing, it's like, oh, Batman versus Superman made $800 million. Well, Guardians did $1 billion. So this is a flop, and Ben Affleck sucks, and we have to redo the whole thing.
It's just toxic. DC's film industry is just toxic, and so and then just to put a little capper on the Marvel talk, James Gunn is back to do Guardians 3. So yay!
Yeah. Well, then on Shazam first. But so Shazam, my recommendation for the week, they're half-hour shows, or actually 22-minute shows.
Don't waste your time.
I would. You watch one. Like the crimes that they're solving, they're so ABC after-school special. There was these 3 mid-teenage kids in the pilot episode.
Were they littering?
They were going to steal a car just to drive it around for a little bit, like, go joyriding. Right. There's no violence. They weren't carjacking anybody, and one of these kids wasn't sure he wanted to do it, and literally there was a moral at the end of every story, like, be true to yourself, and it was great because watch the pilot episode because Adam West's character quotes Shakespeare.
Oh my!
As Shakespeare would say,
as he quoted the literal guy Shakespeare,
the little guy,
the literal, like as Shakespeare would say, not as the character from Shakespeare would say.
Oh no, he does it as the character from Shakespeare.
Okay,
it's the full Adam West experience.
Right.
The acting.
Yes,
he's not acting; he's a thespian at that point. So now, Marvel, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, James Gunn back in the mix. Swing. Could not be happier.
Great, white guy director making good. Finally.
Are you a Gunn fan?
Yeah, no, he's fine. I thought it was bullshit that he got fired. It was a hit job. It was like some right-wing Republican, media guy trying to make a name for himself. Hit job, and but bad for Disney to immediately fire him. Buying into the caving into the canceled culture of this fake outrage, and not taking a step back. Not doing an investigation, not standing by your person until more substantial allegations came to light. I mean, he made some bad jokes. That was it. He was fired over some tasteless jokes that he'd made 10 years prior, right?
Right. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Same thing with Chris Hart and stuff.
Well, maybe they did the right thing. Maybe they fired him. It went away. They cooled off, and they brought him back. I don't know.
I'm very excited. I love his work.
I guess only Disney can get away with stuff like that. That sort of no hard feelings because they have the money to throw at that. They can literally just throw money at it and go, here, we were sorry we fucked up. Here's, whatever you made last year, Griswold, 20%.
Right.
Only instead of 20, it's 100. They probably doubled the salary.
You got a parenting tip?
I do not because I forget where I put my kids. Damn it. You?
We had a really good moment today. Our oldest guy got his progress report. He's been doing fine all year, but it came back exceptional. And, there's that moment. My parenting tip is 100% make sure that they know this is all them. And although you had to yell at them and argue with them every day to put the work in, you didn't benefit from the work. They did. They put the work in. So go well out of your way to make sure that they feel that their hard work rewarded itself. And the pressure points don't leave marks.
Yeah, that's an oldie but a goodie.
Right there.
That's why I read it.
I will come back to that time and time again.
So that's it. I think this is the first 3-hour podcast that we've done. No, it's been about an hour and a half or so, I guess. It's a good one. Whatever. I'll edit it down. You won't even know the difference. I'll throw in some wacky purple knockout gas that'll emit from your iPhone to knock you out for the... Actually, what am I talking about? Just the sound of my voice will knock you out.
What about the Samsung people?
I know.
Well, so because it was St. Patrick's Day last week, and because I love the song, can we go out with Stupid Boston Face Guy again that can't be found anywhere except the Carnival Personnel podcast?
Sure thing. You want me to just do cold right into it, or do you want me to put the music under my voice? That there's really not a lot of big talk up into the song, so I guess it really doesn't fucking matter. I try to.
You're the rainmaker.
I'm the Rain Man. Definitely.
Can it be both? Definitely Wapner.
Definitely
Wapner.
Yeah, oh, Qantas. So that's it. Thank you for listening. You can follow us anywhere, really.
At Carnival Podcast on the Twitter and Facebook. Opti Grabber on the Twitter. And
the Jacques 4. The Jacques 4.
Yes, the Jacques 4. If you want a lot of New England Patriot related, if
you like proofreading,
shut it.
I shouldn't kid. He has a learning disability, as do I. I am and
I'm lazy.
You're right. You really should read what you write. What?
No, go ahead.
No. I have nothing else to say, Jacques.
I should if I could learn to read. But more importantly,
what?
Don't forget.
Oh, me ancestors came to this fair land, where 5 generations back I can't understand why I act so ethnic and so off the boat, when alls I am is a watered down scroll. I'm just as stupid as Boston Face Guy. I had no identity, I never stood out, so I shined up me forehead and grabbed me a stout. I pinned all me pants and got a brush cut. I never wear socks and I act wicked tough. I'm just a stupid ass Boston Face Guy. I surround myself with friends named McGee, O'Hallahan, and O'Flaherty. We act so Irish and so Gaelic, but alls we are is just watered down pricks.